Good afternoon, everyone. I cordially welcome you all for the seventh lecture of the short course on Cultural Linkages Towards an Asian Ideology 2023-24. Today, our focus is on the theme Beyond Asian Ideology Through Lenses of Intercultural Communication. Our schedule for today is as follows. We have a 45-minute lecture planned, followed by a brief 5-minute break. After the break, we will resume with another 30 minutes of the lecture, and finally, we will engage in a question and answer session. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great privilege to introduce our distinguished guest lecturer, Ms. Vasuki Jayasinghe. Ms. Vasuki is Senior Lecturer at the Department of Languages at the Faculty of Management, Social Sciences and Humanities at the General Sir John Kotalawala Defence University, is currently pursuing her PhD in Peace Linguistics at the University of Colombo, Sri Lanka. With over 12 years of teaching experience, Ms. Vasuki has demonstrated a profound dedication to sharing her vast academic knowledge and researching vital topics such as English language education, social linguistics, and peace studies, and intercultural communicative competence. She holds a Master of Arts in Linguistics from the University of Kelaniya, Sri Lanka, a Master of Arts in Conflict, Peace and Development Studies from Tribhuvan University in Nepal, and a Bachelor of Arts with honors from the University of Kelaniya, Sri Lanka. Her dedication to professional growth is evident through memberships in organizations like the Oxford Teachers Club Sri Lanka, Association for Improving Higher Education, and UNESCO Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Education and for Peace and Sustainable Development. Madam, we are profoundly honored to have you with us here, and we warmly welcome you to deliver this lecture on Beyond Asian Ideology Through Lenses of Intercultural Communication. We encourage our audience to actively engage during the lecture and Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you, Radhini, for the kind introduction. Yes, as Radhini gave the brief introduction, this is today we are trying to share whatever the knowledge that we have, and we are trying to update our knowledge regarding basically through intercultural communication, limited to the topic given to us today, Beyond Asian Ideology Through Lenses of Intercultural Communication. Let's have a brief idea about what these words mean for us, because there can be audience, the members, those who have already completed the course, certain courses, and there can be some beginners as well. Covering all, I thought of sharing some basic ideas regarding all this. All right. When we say ideology, you must be having an idea about this. Any logy, any sciences that we are talking about, we can refer to this logical knowledge that we embark in. On the other hand, here when it comes to ideology, it can be interpreted in several ways. In this discussion, we are trying to get this to a simplified version, because sometimes intercultural communication as a topic or a subject may be new to the audience. So let's go with the very simplest way of understanding. As I'm addressing to undergraduates, I expect you little knowledge ahead than the layman knowledge. As undergraduates, we all have certain knowledge regarding some concepts, and further we are going beyond that. We try to update ourselves within this given limited time. Yes, as you can see the screen, I have taken this from Cambridge Thesaurus. So the similar words that we must have heard from different sources, maybe from media, maybe you have heard from conversations. Ideology, similar words we can say set of beliefs simply. That's the simplest word that I can take. The set of beliefs. In other perspective, it can be interpreted as political philosophy, and sometimes in theoretical knowledge and research papers, you must have heard or you must have read the word doctrine or dogma. All these words associated with the idea of ideology, simply then a set of beliefs or principles that we come to discuss here today, based on especially one on which a political system partly or organization is based on. That is particular ideology we are talking about. Ideas based on ideas, beliefs, and traditions based on some particular organization, a group of people. When it comes to Asian ideology, out of the periphery of Asian ideology versus within the periphery of Asian ideology, we'll be discussing what we are focusing on. Asia, yes, you may know the geographical map that you must have seen. You must be having certain idea, of course. And they are, rather than the tangible concepts of demarcations or the boundaries that we have marked, we have Asian ideology. We call them, we call it as Asian light. So since we are talking about beyond that, first let's talk about within the Asian ideology, what capacities, what things that we are aware for the moment, rather than going beyond the level that we are expected to, in the perspective of, in the lenses of intercultural communication. This is not, that means I'm limiting my talk to intercultural communication. The language perspective, the communication perspective will be discussed within this given time. You are free to ask, raise hand option is there. If you are not clear with any point, you are free to let me know. Otherwise, we have Q&A session time, and particularly you can contact me. This is a discussion kind of, I'm trying to share some knowledge that what we have updated recently. All right, then Asian ideology, we have some idea. You must have already taken from other perspectives also based on your subject areas and the disciplines that you belong to. And then I'm coming to the other key term, intercultural communication. Intercultural, even looking at the word construction, you may understand some. It needs, yes, basically communication, we have some idea. According to the theoretical aspect and the academic perspective, the key concepts I have added here in the point form, you can see. Yes. The capacities to communicate with people from diverse cultures. If we do we have this capacity, the knowledge or the applicability, the capacity to communicate. Yes, of course, you may say, yes, we can communicate, unless we have the barrier of language. Under mutually intelligible languages, if we are using mutually intelligible languages, we can communicate. Or sometimes we may use gestures and postures or sign language or other nonverbal communication methods also to communicate. Anyhow, that goes to larger area. This point tells you the capacity to communicate with people from diverse cultures. It is not only the language, for example, English or Tamil, or it can be Sinhala or Russian, Spanish, whatever. That goes beyond that particular language, because communication is just not just language is one main method. There are other methods as well. We may not discuss, but I'm just focusing you. We are not talking just only the languages, only the ability to, the capacity to communicate with other people from diverse cultures. And interactively, next point it says interacting effectively. Effectively, I'm highlighting this word. We may manage, in day-to-day life, we may use the word, we can manage communication. We can manage. That can manage concept is not what I highlight here. As undergraduates or as scholars or academics, we need to have a kind of a specific knowledge regarding communication, because you may represent your organization. In near future, you may start your working in professional sector, or sometimes you may continue representing in academic area, or you may go back to your living place, the society, and to talk to people, communicate with, not just talking, communicate with people. So if that should be effective. Interacting effectively across cultural lines requires perseverance. These are the qualities that requires basic qualities, perseverance and sensitivity to the another's differences. Because when we say culture, we have two domains. We have our domain and others' domain. Then only we demarcate. I'm coming to those points in detail in future. For the moment, just highlighting the features in intercultural communication. This encompasses language skills. These are the requirements they say. Language skills, customs, way of thinking, social norms, and habits. Those are the main features that define intercultural communication. But it is culture in between cultures. That is the boundary, or that is the area that we are talking about, the culture in between cultures or among cultures. We need communication. So among, when I say among, you may understand there are several areas, or there were several peripheries, demarcations that we have. So let's talk about, this is just basic idea, right? All right, let's move to the other. Yes. This is the common picture you may come across. Yeah. Asia. When you must have seen pictures. What is a common feature that you may find? I would like if y'all are interacting or just sharing some ideas with me. You may use your voice, or you can use your chat as well. What do you see? What do you see at once? Of course, it's a map. What feature you identify at your glance is the colorfulness. Because the demarcations, the boundaries are marked in geographically for political or other requirements they may have marked, that gives you the message, that communicates the message, the colorfulness. That is why I have said there are many, when we find resources, we can get any type of, but I have selected this to show the colorfulness of this, because to show the positive aspect of intercultural beauty. So who are we? Who are we as Asians? Now we are talking as Asian lenses, intercultural communication lenses, but Asian point of view. Who are we? We, in the sense I have used different colors also there to highlight. If we say we, there are the others category as well. If I say that word we belong to, we, the belongingness is limited to particular category is highlighted. When I say we, that means there is another aspect. The other side of the coin is the others are there, right? Anyway, I am using this word for the moment because the communication is understood within a very limited time. We are trying to share this knowledge. So the long-term in-depth understanding cannot be given for the moment. I'm using that word, but in future I'm introducing another word instead. What should we use? Because politically correct words are there in language, internationally accepted. For example, like earlier we used the word disabled person. We all are disabled at times in different ways. Sometimes biologically we may have all the organs, whatever it is. We may not use them, not able to do. Right? So that word may hurt somebody. Therefore, politically correct language is in the usage now. So we call them politically correct language or PC correct language. Accordingly, according to peace linguistics, we do not encourage to use more the words like we, them, and all. We use the neutral word. In future, we will be talking about that. For the moment, yes, this is who are we. So as undergraduates, as you all are young adults, you are very creative than the the current generation. So you go for the future, think in new ways, creative ways. These are just points to ponder. Who are we? I'm just asking the question, kind of rhetoric question. Think about who are we? And if you check the definitions, what do we have as we or Asians? If you check the definitions, you may come across this list. We have our religious ideologies, we have our ideologies of race, caste, languages, religion, or the philosophies or beliefs, people would say. We may, in our Asian context, we use it as religion. Some may use it as a belief or a philosophy, or their sciences, whatever different definitions they have for religion. Next point, our Asian histories, you would say, Asian aesthetics, traditions, practices, beliefs, values. Those are the common list. I'm also just sharing the common list first. So if are these lists, is this list limited only for Asians? Have you ever thought? So are these only for Asian? What about the others? Don't they have these? Are these only for Asians? What's the difference? Let's move on, trying to understand what they are. That is why we are trying to use the different lens of intercultural communication, intercultural lens. You know, when the lens is focused for different purposes according to different lighting, settings, requirements, you may change the lens, you may change the settings of those. You then accordingly you may start seeing through. Okay, let's try to see whether you would like to change your lenses when you look at the world, when you look at the world after this lesson or the session. All right. Why intercultural communication is required in a globalized world? In this globalized world, it is already intercultural, you would say. Because today, although we are in a Sri Lanka, particular so-called developing country, or whatever the small island in a ocean, in a ocean, very tiny island, even though we are here, we are aware what is happening in the other part of the world. In the fraction of time, the fashion comes to us. The movie releases comes to us. If there is a political changes around the world, those are also updated. So in the world is globalized. You may ask, do we really require to learn about intercultural communication again? You may chat with those people in the other countries. You may have updated about, maybe you are communicating with other methods or media or whatever. You are aware, you are communicated about the changes happening. The dynamic world is so dynamic. Still you are updated. You may think it is culturally updated. Just ask again. Because the cultural, when we say cultural, it has a specific set of list than what I have just mentioned according to the general perspective. As layman's view, as layman's means the people, those who do not specifically develop the special knowledge in some area, may have general knowledge about it. Yes, fine with it. As set of students, set of learners, we are trying to update ourselves according to the changes. So in a globalized world, why intercultural communication is required? You may ask why actually it is required. Let's see. Then another question. I'm asking these questions to ponder. Then you may think again, rather than the points that I am sharing here, you may start thinking, because it's not always one way of sharing knowledge. It's two way. It's multiple ways at times. It's not mono. I mean, one way, right? So are we competent in communication? Competent to communicate. Competent means, as I have mentioned earlier, I'm repeating here, it's not just managing to communicate. Are we competent? As now you all are representing here, if you are taken for a session for another country, maybe virtually now we are conducting sessions. Now here I'm at home and you are at your places and we are in a virtual space, we are conducting a session. Likewise, you may talk to the rest of the world today. Then you may start thinking, am I competent enough? Competent enough, not manageable in communication as undergraduates or as scholars, as future working force, as the young leaders. Are we really competent in that? According to the researchers and according to the scholars' viewpoint, it says the exchange of meanings between individuals through a common system of symbols is known as competency here to communicate with others. Exchange of meanings between individuals through common system of symbol. I've taken this from encyclopedia. According to that, that is what communication means. You may use a common communication system and it has different. Is someone trying to contact me? Yeah, all right. If there is any requirement, you may go for raise hand option. I am available. This is your session, it's not my session. So let's see. Then there are 4 other basic aspects of communication. Basic aspects. Verbal and non-verbal, you may talk about, you may have heard about, because verbally we are communicating, non-verbally also. Different ways. I will share a video just to brief everything in few minutes. And formal and informal communication. For example, like when I speak at home or when I speak to my friends, I may use set of words which may not be compatible, which may not be suitable in my office setup. You may do the same. When you go out to an official work, you may change your language. Formal and informal, understood. Verbal, non-verbal, yes. Non-verbal gestures and all, whatever not verbal category that comes there. And oral and written, understood. And horizontal and vertical, I'll come to that. Horizontal and vertical in the sense, hierarchically, horizontally, as I have mentioned there, in a setup where we have people who are in par with our capacity, our levels, those who are in similar levels, we pass through communication, we interact. That is horizontal communication. And vertically means hierarchically you need to be mindful about the senior positions or the junior positions, and accordingly it may change. Those kind of 4 categories, these 4 general categories are there in general communication aspects. And let's pay our attention to this video to show how effective the communication is in all these 4 aspects, right?
Excuse me? Hello? Hey! I'm a human being. If you don't want to help, at least say so.
Hello, I am deaf. I may have trouble comprehending you. Thank you for your consideration. Usually, I'd read your lips to understand you.
Oh.
If you like, you could let this convert your speech to text for me.
Okay. Could you tell me how to get to it?
Want to try again?
Attention passengers, all is well. Thank you.
Low power shutting down.
Oh, yay!
Attention passengers, line 4 is delayed for 1 hour. Thank you.
All right. I hope you watched that short video, which shows if we do not have mutually intelligible languages, that means a language that we cannot understand each other, people still communicate. People still can pass messages, come to compromises, convey messages. Yes, day-to-day life, they may continue their work. This is how we are. This is in the general perspective. So even a common post you must have seen. Sorry that I could not add it to a slide. There are some spelling without correct spelling. People still can read a common words which is there. Those are also happening. You must have seen in common social media. This is the common situation, practical situations in day-to-day life. This is not intercultural competence. Still, there are people, they represent two different people from different attire, different clothing. Still, they try to stick to their own way of dress codes or the communication, but still they communicate with each other mutually. They come to a common grounds and exchange messages. Fine. We go beyond that level. That is what I really wanted to show you. So let's go to the next layer. Why intercultural communication is required in the globalized world. Still in a globalized world, you may come across this type of experience, a similar experience like this. We are going a little beyond that. Yes. People prefer, what we need to understand is, according to research, this is not what I say, this is according to the research's findings, people prefer speaking to people who present good language competence. Language competence also at good level. Accordingly, the features identified them are accent and cadence are listener friendly. If the cadence or the accent are listener friendly, there is a tendency for us to choose that particular person to person for communication. We may prefer, we may need to be aware. That may be helpful in our working places as well. Sometimes look at your own life. You may select BBC or Al Jazeera or whatever, the Sri Lankan national English news or whatever. Although it is English news, when it comes to different accents, different castings, different cadences, it may differ. So you may choose accordingly. Your friend may not choose whatever you select. So that is according to your personal preference, convenience. This is researched and found out. And next point is language in a proper context. According to there is a relation between the former points as well. According to the context, we change the language. As I have mentioned, the common example that I have told you, the language that you use at home or with your, whatever the language you use with your friends may not be suitable. You may not use that language when you go for your professional settings or when you go for your academic settings. And then understandable idioms, phrases, and metaphors. Yes, that is also the other thing. Sometimes people may be too sure of to show their knowledge. They may use some words which may not understood by the audience. Maybe example, today's lesson. If I have used set of words that we cannot, people, there can be 2 or 3 people in an audience of 50 people or 100 people, maybe 1 or 2 may not understand those words. Still, my attempt is not successful if I have done so. I try to convey the message to everybody. I need to try my best from the speaker's point of view. So similarly, you also need to understand that is the idioms, phrases, metaphors are some additional parts that decorates language, which adds value to your language quality, but need to be aware where to use and what to use, how to use, and make pauses in expected moments. That is, some people may speak fast, the phases of language, I mean, speed of language. I may speak slow, I may speak fast, some people may speak in a moderate manner. People have likings and dislikings for those. These are general point of view. That is how we try to select people who are good communicators, whether they are good communicators or not. Okay, we are going beyond this. Yes, now we are coming to our topic, our situation. Now, general introduction is over from that point. Who are we? How do we demarcate ourselves? Now, including you and me, if we find a common category that we belong to KDU. We have our KDU culture, I would say. That culture is different from other cultures. For example, there are other universities in the country, in the same country, in maybe within Colombo, but still the culture of KDU is different from others. So that common feature is the way set of beliefs, practices, norms, and the way that we should behave and not behave, we all include in that. So the common category there we find ourselves. We as a group, common group, KDU, one common group here. As an example, I just took. Then we have Sri Lankan category. As a Sri Lanka, we have common categories. Let me go back to KDU. KDU also, you know, we have military culture and civil culture. We have foreign students and Sri Lankan students. And there also we may have different type of students from different areas, students from different ethnicities, different, sometimes they may come from, as I mentioned earlier, different nationalities, foreign students. However, we are KDU there. So we have a common ideology there. And then we have Sri Lankan people. You may come from Jaffna or Trinco or Kandy or Gaul, whatever it is, we are Sri Lankans. You may come from Muslim background, Tamil background, or Sinhala background, Burger or any other, who all in all, we all are Sri Lankan. So likewise, Asia also, we have Asian way of life. That is highlighted here. So are we limiting to Asian concepts? There are two, I can't say just two, there are discussions going on, just discussions went on regarding academic and research area, whether there is Asian centrism. It is positive or negative, still it is going on. We are not engaged in that discussion, but anyway, what we really need to identify is we need to identify who we are. That is first feature of intercultural communication, to communicate with another culture, first we need to be aware about our culture. So we will be aware about who really we are, and then we are trying to communicate with others beyond Asian periphery, beyond Asian ideology. Still, it doesn't mean, I repeat here, it doesn't mean we forget about our Asianness. We protect our Asianness, maintain our traditions, beliefs, and customs or whatever, and go beyond that. That is what is required. How that can be done? Theoretically, academics and researchers have found out, tested, and models and theories are there, which are successfully being in practice. There are mainly 3-4 models which are used by people around the world. I have selected one of them to show you the initial steps, and then how to join in the process to make sure. As a checklist, I'm showing you another model. So I'll be using 2 models just to show how can we be actively participated in intercultural communication and be a part of peace messenger. Yeah, just for the moment, this. Next, see, are we really interculturally competent? You may know we have different ways of simple examples I'm taking. We greet people in different ways. These you may see in social media. At the beginning of the lecture or at the beginning of this knowledge sharing session, I try to greet everyone. Those who, according to my understanding, I thought these students may come to our session, so I may need to welcome them. I may need to be a part of them. Because of y'all, I'm here today. So I respect you. I respect my audience. To show my respect first, what I do is I first show my gratitude by greeting you all. I say, Aiboan, Vanakkam, Assalamu alaikum. To cover all the other category, good afternoon to everybody. That is how I greeted you are. I don't know whether you felt it. I did it purposely. I try to do it purposely because I want everybody to be here as a part of the session. So we feel this. Maybe today you may not feel because you are still in a family. Even though you come to the uni, still you are a family. You are in a kind of a comfortable zone. You are always welcome there. When you go out of that, you feel you are a foreigner, you are an outsider. Then if somebody is greeting you, somebody is taking you to that category, you feel so positive, so good. You are welcomed, you are respected. That we need to show to the others. That is the basic way of showing our intercultural knowledge in a setup. That is basic. So you may do, be conscious, be mindful, do that. And another point coming to my mind, as I have mentioned earlier, to use language also. Sometimes this is a common situation. Sometimes I see, not knowingly, some people use language. For example, in our country, Sri Lanka, we do not use English as our first language. Mostly, the majority do not use. They may use Sinhala or Tamil. We consider English as a second language in Sri Lanka. There are people, those who are using English as a first language. Yes, this is for the community, for those who are not using English as a first language, to show that they be sympathize with them and share if possible. That is disrespecting the audience. That does not show that you know another foreign language. That show that you are less knowledge. You are not updated with the knowledge. So first thing, the basic things that I can share in a common forum like this is culturally competent you. I hope you can see the screen and read it. Yes. Welcome back to the session. Let's continue from this moment. Yes, as I have mentioned in the first half of the session, the features that I have shared in cultural setup are the key features in general terms in point of with the idea of intercultural knowledge, with the lenses of intercultural perspectives. We look at culture, or the ideologies are defined in these terms, and there we find this setup. Specifically, I hope when you see these terms, the demarcations are clear. Language, of course, come here. And the stories and legends, the differences can be identified clearly. If you imagine the Asian culture and the other Western culture, or whatever the names that you would say beyond Asian culture, you may identify, okay, we have Asian traditions, we have Asian legends. And the specific feature to the entire community in Asia would be common here. And the morals, food, still there are differences, but still the commonality is highlighted here. Art, music, and dance, festivals and celebrations, rules of behaviors, laws of men and women, beauty, taste, architecture, values, there's a typo, family and relationships, dress code, status, maybe social status, disobedience and punishments. These are the clear demarcations that we can identify the the demarcation, the boundaries where the ideologies started to be differ. And the look at the topic, what I'm trying to highlight here is culture is a learned behavior. There can be different perspectives, different ideas in the academia and researchers, and different philosophies and different disciplines. Here, what I'm trying to focus your attention is, I'm looking at this through the lenses of intercultural communication point of view. And culture is a learned behavior. It is not something that we bring by birth, that we learn from our parents or the caretakers or the family and the society. So these are the demarcations that we identify as Asians. Look at the differences. These are common photos that I have taken just to highlight the points that I'm trying to show. Sharing food, the food culture and the sculpture or the architecture, and the common thing that I have taken, the cartoons. We all have heroes, the childhood cartoons and heroes, both sides, different ways. It differs from SpongeBob to ninjas, different aspects, but still the commonalities or differences can be identified. Yes. And yes, again, another question. Are you aware about our culture? Rather than go beyond our Asian ideology, are we well aware about our particular so-called Asian ideology, Asian culture? So first, intercultural competence gives us knowledge or the self-awareness about updating our own culture. So in the sense, I go beyond KDU, beyond Sri Lankan, and to the Asian, and then forward. I'm just asking the question. Did you identify the picture? Anyone in the audience? One of the oldest universities in the world. In Asia, this is the biggest. And the structurally, at least you must have heard the word Nalanda University. Find out. I try to see a little more about and update about yourself, about our cultures. What do we have really? This is not only about history. I'm just taking examples of history because people commonly misunderstood culture as history. It is not only history, but I take this as an example just to make sure, are we aware, as we belong to the universities, are we aware about our so-called Asian, we call are we aware about our ancient university in Asian context? Nalanda University. There comes the one which you find here in Sri Lanka. It's the hospital, it says the oldest hospital in the country, maybe in the Asian context also one of the oldest. This is in Mihintale. If you have seen the architectural and the architectural value and the cultural value of these would be immense, and learn more and go beyond. What I say is start and review where we are. What do we know about ourselves? And then I'm going to the bit of theoretical perspectives. Academic, I hope you all are fresh after a tea or a coffee in a rainy evening. Academic point of views, few I'm going to share here. Until the late 19th century, Asia was purely geographical term only. It says so. It's not me. According to the researchers, they say, I have cited here, merely the name of one of the 5 continents, a concept that had been modeled by early modern Europeans. That is lenses, different perspectives. I'm just sharing these for y'all. So identify what we need to do, who we are, re-look at, review. Asian centricity is also about learning to embrace the Asian heritage for Asian voices, visions, and finding a way to reaffirm and renew the Asian legacy as a source of ethical reflections, with the aim of bringing forth the best of what it means to be Asia and human as an active agents instead of passive participants. This is how different people look at this perspective, these concepts differently. Those who are interested in researching, this is for them. If it is only for general knowledge, you can just keep this aside. And this is for everyone. Now, let's see what are the potential barriers to effective intercultural communication. National culture. It says, when we say our nation itself, there we lay a boundary. I'm coming to that explanation in next slide. For the moment, understand this figure. National culture, when we say from the point that we identify, demarcate national culture, we draw a boundary. And that depends on the perception. If your perception is wider, brighter, and if it is with many facets, your perception will not be limited to Asian aspect only. You go beyond that. So what we need to do is we always need to make sure to add different facets and sharpen our lenses and make sure that we are updated with required perception, correct perception. Mostly maybe not the majority or the right perception according to your beliefs and education or whatever. And behavior, based on that, our behavior is based on perception. So behavior will be shaped accordingly. You may behave accordingly. So it has connections. You can see the diagram here, individual barriers, conflicting or inconsistent signals, lack of credibility, reluctance to communicate, poor listening habits. You may just ignore sometimes. Predisposition, pre-learned concept, predisposition about the subject, pre-learned subject, you have heard or you know about this, so you don't need to update yourself. The point is that low international experience and cultural sensitivity. So in Sinhala we call in the inner media, and if you are limited to your periphery only, if you do not have the knowledge or ability to look at from the point of beyond the point of view or beyond the levels where you are, you may limit yourself to one stagnated maybe contaminated area. So organizational behavior also similarly function. Functional language and language differences. Semantically, that means meaningfully, you may use different languages, different words, phrases, the way and the art of using the language may differ, and cultural gaps may maintain. Just take organizational behavior for the moment, the university, this may give the understanding to you. And cultural gap, different perceptions, status of power differences, hierarchical, and noises means disturbances and overload. These are the potential barriers. There can be other. According to research of Griffin, this is what they share, and I'm sharing on behalf of the research community for your knowledge update. Then I'm going to the next slide. A new paradigmatic and pragmatic idea, contemporary academic landscape. That means the updated knowledge in simple terms. The self-conscious act of centering Asian languages, religions or philosophies, histories and aesthetics when addressing Asian people and phenomena, we use the term Asia-centricity. If you are interested in further research, you can refer. Asian-centric studies of Asian culture and communication are treated as culture-specific research endeavors that completely ignore the perspectives of cultural outsiders. So these are the limitations and the availabilities, possibilities that you have only in the sharing. Sharing means you go beyond static boundaries. You may lay your boundary. Yes, we need to be labeled ourselves as KDU. We need to be labeled ourselves as Sri Lankans. We need to be labeled ourselves as Asians, but they should not be static. There should be openings to look at the rest of the world, what is happening outside. So sharing begins from that point onwards. Only in the sharing of cultures, we can have multicultural discourse. Intercultural situations can be created from the point that you are ready to open to the rest. That's the message. Let's move on. And this is graphically interpretation of marking your own boundary, marking your own periphery, and highlighting the point where you have kept a little space for an outsider to come in or you to go out. This is you welcome others and you go to the others and ready to be ready for interaction. Then only the process begins, right? So theoretical perspective of this also will be shared with the model, the Diodrav's model. I'm coming to that. And then here, the beginning of, that is what it says. Again, I'm telling the beginning of and basis for equal and mutually in intercultural settings lead to cross-cultural settings. That means basically, if you are ready to be mingled with the other community only, if you are ready to reweave, it's not the learning that you have for the moment. You need to reweave, relook at, refresh yourself and look at the other. For example, we had a war in our small country. We have very limited ethnic groups in our country. Some say, some researchers also say, I have not quoted here, it is, some say, based on the historical point of view, that is based, there is a language relation to the war in our country we had. There is a relation to the ethnic aspect. There is a relation to communal behavior. So if we, I do not share to be all forget about our Tamilness or Muslimness or Sinhala features or whatever it is. You have to have your own labels if you are really working for it. If you are really respecting for it, yes, you have your own label, but respect the others. That is the point that we can go for intercultural or cross-cultural settings. Asian centricity prevents intercultural contacts among people. If you are centered into one area, you may prevent other possibilities. between nations or non-nations, from becoming mere imposition, imitation encounters. That is how the researchers have found out. And the reverse are lost. Sometimes you may argue imitation. You may say, no, we are not only Asians, although we we are born in Asia, we dress like Europeans, we work as Europeans, we talk as Europeans. So you may argue, you may feel, you may question yourself. Yes, it is just mere imitation. And according to theoretical perspective, that is called reversal also. Some may go to another extent telling that my adopted culture is superior than my own original culture. And I went native, that means I go out. That kind of behavior also can be seen, but that is people's personal ideas. This is not what we meant by interculturality. Interculturality means, I repeat, it means that you identify what your culture, what your cultural values are, and go beyond your, you respect your own culture while respecting the others, updating about the others, go interaction with the others. See the example. If you are tired of listening to me or reading or to listening to any of these theoretical point of view, just look at these two pictures. The first picture I try to show, it's the stagnated water. Sorry to take these as pictures. Anyhow, these things are there in the society. I have not taken human involvement and polluted water. This is just the water which is not flowing. The feature highlighted here is if you are not ready to move, you will be stagnated compared to water here. If you are ready to move, yes, you may come across with different obstacles, but your beauty will be more, your quality will be higher, your values will be higher, and you will be quite purified than being stagnated. So if you are ready to be, that means you are ready to be mingle with, learn, ready to be updated with the new knowledge about your culture and other cultures. That is the point where you started to be intercultural. That leads to cross-cultural competencies. As undergraduates, as graduates, or as academics, as future young leaders, those who can bring changes to the society, our request is, let's try to do little changes. We can't do big changes. We can do little changes that will ripple the rest. One's own culture is considered as central to reality. It's my own culture. Mine is the best. Ours is the best. That is how stagnated cultural set of mind. And the experience of one's own culture, own beliefs and behaviors as just one of organization of reality. Just one. Yes, mine is one community. Mine is one country. Mine is one university. There are others. Yes, mine is good. Maybe mine is the best for me, but there can be other best universities, other best countries, other best cultures. That is how we need to be trained ourselves. Among many, then only these are viable. The spelling, the automatic section covers, this is viable possibilities are there. So these are possibilities. So we need to be realized as educated, as updated people of the society, but we need to change our mindset, the attitude, the point theoretically I will share that word in future for the theoretical perspective. Generally, since this is a session limited to little time, I have shown you the pictures first and then explained, and then I'm introducing the word that I have told you at the very beginning, ethnocentrism, ethno-relativism. Ethnocentrism means the stagnated area where you reject to be mingled with the rest. You think you limit yourself to your own periphery, your own ideology, and you go towards the positive aspect, the interactive aspect. We call it ethno-relativism, where we see the intercultural communication is happening effectively and people are happy and peaceful. That is how it is. Let's move the rest. And if you are interested about learning languages, since I belong to language discipline, if you are interested in, see how can we say purely we are this kind of category only. If you go to the origin, we start from one particular origin according to the researchers so far. So we are here, Sanskrit is the end here. Then I'm continuing with the next slide. You can see, and there, and Tamil and Sinhala you find here. Those are the two languages that we have in Asia. We have other languages. This is just addition, just a cherry on the cake, additional information if you are interested in. And this is the theoretical aspect. I'm coming towards the latter part of the session. And according to Milton Bennett shares a theory and a model, development model of intercultural sensitivity. Still, that to be sensitive, that means this he tries to show how we need to behave, how we need to behave. As I have mentioned earlier, ethnocentrism to ethno-relativism. And denial is the stage where we fail to perceive the existence or occurrence, relevance of other cultures. We limit to our situation. And if you go towards right side, we are moving, thinking about developing or updating. I have kept on repeating the word updating, required updating. This is what I meant here. Theoretical lenses, defense. Then the stage comes the defense, perceiving special cultural groups in polarized and evaluative ways. Minimization. In that stage, focusing on shared human experience, you see commonalities. Does not mean to forget about our own labels. This is, you see, common features, commonalities are identified, and universal values to reduce prejudice. It's not forgetting about your own identity, but reducing your prejudice. That is a learning outcome of intercultural competence. And then you go to the positive aspect. Now decreasing the negative aspects and moving towards positive. So we started acceptance of others, attributing equal human complexity to different cultural groups, and adaptation, generating appropriate and authentic alternative behavior. And interaction is the culmination in the process according to the model, including cultural context in decision making and acting with contextual ethical commitment. This is the theoretical aspect. Theoretically also I proved. And 6 stages that we have shared here, 6 development stages in intercultural sensitivity that shows that is applicable, that shows that any individual can follow that, any groups can follow that, any organizations can follow that. So starting point is not tomorrow, just at this moment onwards. Start, if you are ready to be updated, start from this moment onwards, because this is applicable for individuals, groups, organizations. Quality of their experience improves and move towards ethnocentrism. I'm just avoiding these 2 videos. If you are interested in, you just Google it and see. I mean, just see it freely available sources are there. How people become successful in businesses, international business scale. Intercultural communication is becoming a part of language communication also, and business communities as well, and education as well. And these are the other key features that we need to take home. This is the take home message towards the end of the session. Intercultural communication competence means you need to be self-aware, as I have mentioned. I'm not going to read all the explanations. Self-awareness means who we are, what we have. Do we really know about our values, cultures, beliefs, and traditions? Are we really aware? Now, we are Sri Lankans. Are you really aware why Hajji is celebrated, or why Deepavali is celebrated? Why, okay, Sinhala and Tamil, I hope majority knows. I believe so. Do people consider about those? These are our things. We call, these are our neighbors. So this is to have a second thought. Are we really aware why people have their own set of beliefs in their own religions. If we know the reason, you will start respecting. That is being self-awareness about cultural beliefs and practices and so-called norms and all. So being self-aware, self-awareness is the first one. Second one is empathy. You start developing empathy. This is a social requirement that we need to develop. The feeling of towards the others, intercultural communication relies heavily on empathizing with others. You feel yourself, if you feel you are respected, you feel you know how to respect the others. You know it is a requirement to respect the others is a must. Like that, empathy. And then respect. This is also mingle. Respect, specifically they have mentioned because this is a social requirement today. Starting from your family, to the school, to the university, and to the society. Maybe when you are traveling in the bus, maybe in the train, or maybe just in another office or a university, in another country. Respect is the ornament that you carry to protect yourself and the others. And emotional intelligence, EI, not just AI today, EI also important. Emotional intelligence also is considered as one of the most important aspect in educational development, skills development. So that is also there. And adaptability, your flexibility, the readiness to be changed, and patience. You can't topple the system, you can't bring out changes within a minute. We have to be patient, but we should start changing the things. We're starting changing ourselves, not to correct the world, changing ourselves from this moment onwards. The last point is positivity. Outcome is positive. And this is the model that I told you, the second model that I would be sharing. This is the last and the second model. According to theoretical perspective, if you are ready, any point, there are 4 squares, any point onwards, you can join in the process. We are in the we are in the circulation of peace process. Individually or as an organization, you can join in. If you are ready to start changing your attitudes, yes, you are ready to welcome from that point. Or otherwise, if you are ready to change your knowledge and comprehension, or if you are ready to develop your skills, you can join from that point. Or internal outcomes, thinking about the flexibility, adaptability is a positive aspect for positive feature in society, you can join from there. And think about the external outcomes. So the decision is up to you. You all are young adults. We are all aware about our behaviors and perceptions. Knowledge is updated. It is up to you. You have a second thought. Why in Sri Lanka, Kochi pizza is available and why international business scale is going in that line. Culture is incorporated. Think about the economic aspect, the people's taste and the requirement and the success. And we can't forget about our own family. We can't forget about our own school or the university or the country. It's our place. So think about making your own Kochi pizza. I mean, not the literal meaning, metaphorical meaning. Take the idea. You need to blend yourself and ready to be changed with the requirements and the needs of the society, respecting your own qualities, maintaining and updating your own qualities. That's the final message, the take-home message for you. And Q&A, few minutes you have. If you have any clarification, no questions to be answered. I've taken additional 2 minutes. Audience, it's up to you all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to extend my gratitude through this vote of thanks on behalf of the students participating in short course on Cultural Linkages Towards an Asian Ideology for the academic year 2023 and 2024. First and foremost, I would like to express our heartfelt appreciation to our esteemed lecturer, senior lecturer, Mrs. Vasuki Jayasinghe, for generously sharing her time and invaluable knowledge with us today. Madam, your contribution to this cause is a true blessing and we are profoundly grateful. I would also like to extend our thanks to Dr. Hemant Premaratna and the team of the staff at the Department of Social Sciences of KDU who worked together to bring these enlightening lectures together. Last but certainly not least, I extend our appreciation to all the participants from our university who joined us for this event. Your active engagement has not only made this lecture a resounding success, but has also provided you with valuable insights into the topic of beyond Asian ideology through lenses of intercultural communication. In conclusion, I wish to express our deep gratitude to senior lecturer Vasuki Jayasinghe for her unwavering commitment to contributing to our cause. Madam, it is a distinct honor to have you among us, and we deeply appreciate the time and effort you have invested in enriching our educational experience.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the participants and the organizing committee for giving me this opportunity to share our knowledge. And for everyone, those who have been with us towards the end, despite the thunder and lightning. All right. Have a nice day to all of you.